ORPtv is brought to you by All Parts Auto Salvage, 2600 North Benton. Let us help you fix your car. Clements Auto Salvage, your 4x4 connection to the Ozarks, located in Branson, Missouri. Schaefer Motors in Marshfield. Sigs and Swigs in Nixon, Missouri. Josh's Mobile Auto Repair and More in Mountain Home, Arkansas. Precision Lawn Care, Quality Truck Services and Quality Detail Services. Rebel Saints Barbershop. Collins Studio Tattoos and Spa. D&D Concrete Construction, Priority Welding and Fabrication, JK's Auto Repair in Ozark, Missouri, Springfield Window Cleaning, and Tribodyn.com. That's Tribodyn.com. Tribodyn.com. Enter offer code ORPTV10 and get 10% off of your order. And remember, all orders over $99 will get free shipping to your home. That's Tribodyn.com. Offer code ORPTV10.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, would you bring your attention to for a feast for your eyes to see?
Welcome to ORPTV. I'm Craig Sagner. We're coming to you from the Rad Auto Lift studio on a Sunday, February 17th. And it was an action-packed weekend already, so let's get things started right off. Talking about the Monster Energy Supercross AMA. Last night, the Supercross was in round number 7 in Arlington, Texas, just outside of Dallas. The 250 class, start there. Austin Faulkner from the Nevada, Missouri area with another phenomenal performance last night. Didn't get the whole shot. Kyle Peters with the whole shot early on, but he held that for about a couple hundred yards, I believe it was. Something like that, and then Austin Faulkner took over. Ended up, at one point, I believe he had about an 8-second lead, built up a big lead just like he did last weekend, and then back down road a little conservative towards the end to ensure that he didn't have any issues and come away with the win. About a 4.5-second win last night for Nevada's area's Austin Faulkner on the Kawasaki, followed by Justin Cooper and Chase Sexton. This puts Austin 2 wins in the 250 East races. So, as if you're not familiar with the Supercross, the 250 class, you have the West and the East. This is just the second race of the East half of that, and Austin Faulkner is 2-0 in that. That puts him firmly in first place for the points. Last night also had 2 racers that we've seen in the Nitro Arena Cross make appearances. Dustin Winter, who has ridden many of the Nitro Arena Cross, made it into the heats. He qualified earlier in the day. They do some of their earlier qualifying, so it's a few stages of it. You have to qualify to even get into the heats, and then from the heats you have transfer positions into the main, not unlike dirt track and asphalt racing of the cars. So Dustin Winter qualified for the heat races, a mid-pack in the first heat, and a pretty solid race in the LCQ, the last chance qualifier, just a little bit outside of the cut there to make it to the main, but a good performance for Dustin Winter. Blake Horton, you've seen him. He was very impressive a couple weeks ago in the Nitro Arena Cross. Long black curly hair, kind of looked a little like Jason Momoa from Aquaman. Well, he did quite well last night. He finished 4th in the heat number 2. So you had half the classes broke up. It's kind of alternating, so the 2 heats isn't like the top half in the first heat and the bottom half in the second. It's pretty equally split, so you get a fair shot there of it. Second heat, Blake Horton with a 4th, which put him right into the main, which was a heck of a performance. A good job there. I believe he had some bike issues. He didn't finish, had a DNF in the main, 21st place, but a 4th in the second heat, transferring on the first try. A great performance by Blake Horton. The 450 class last night. It was one of the most exciting races I have ever seen in motocross. The whole shot was Ken Roczen. It was a free-for-all. There was 3 leaders in the whole race. Ken Roczen grabs the whole shot. Quickly gets passed by Eli Tomac. Tomac checked out. It was really close there at the line as to who got credit for the whole shot. Eli Tomac passed him and looked like he was set to make amends for last week's poor performance, and checked out. He was several seconds out front. And then he fell. Ken Roczen passes him. So after 4 laps of leading, Tomac goes down and gives up the lead to Ken Roczen, who leads the next 20 laps. I'm not sure what happened to Tomac, but he just dropped back and back and back and ended up being like 35 seconds out of first and finished 12th. So not another bad night. I'm not sure what happened there with Eli Tomac. But the story was that Cooper Webb, who had won 3 of the previous 6 races, was in 7th at the start of the race. Didn't have a great start. Well, he started chipping away there at the lead. Started passing riders. And in the last turn, he made a move on the inside of Ken Roczen that could have easily taken them both out, but it didn't. They both stayed on it. Both got a little loose. And Cooper Webb got about that much more throttle than Ken Roczen and won what was, they believe, is the narrowest margin of victory in Monster Energy Supercross history. It was 0.028 seconds. So it was just less than 3/100th of a second. Cooper Webb wins his 4th race of the season. It was so exciting. Mary is kind of getting into motocross a little bit, and she was yelling. We couldn't believe it, how close this race was. And it came down. This was the equivalent of a walk-off home run, a Hail Mary touchdown pass. It was extremely exciting. If you didn't get a chance to watch it, I highly recommend. Even though if you've seen this, you know the spoiler, but it's well worth it to watch it on the replay. So Cooper Webb takes the lead for the points season. Ken Roczen had it just for the 1 race, so that puts Webb, Roczen, Marvin Muskin, and Eli Tomac drops all the way back to 4th place. So that does it for AMA Supercross. Over on NASCAR, today is for NASCAR fans what is essentially their Super Bowl. This is Daytona 500 day for NASCAR. It's the biggest, it's unlike a lot of sports where you have the ultimate game is the finale. For NASCAR, for as long as I can remember, the ultimate race is the first race. So Daytona 500, the biggest race. It's a long week of excitement in Daytona, Florida. It started off Wednesday with the Clash, sponsored by Gander Outdoors. Camping World is not the sponsor of the Truck Series anymore. Gander Outdoors is now the sponsor of that series, and as such, they were the sponsor of the Clash. This is a race made up of, I believe it was 22 past winners and just a select few of the racers. Well, Jimmie Johnson, after a very lackluster 2018, Lowe's no longer a sponsor. Chad Knaus and him, whatever, if that was a personal falling out or just some realignment, went over to William Byron, who, by the way, took the pole for the Daytona 500. Jimmie Johnson feels like he's got a lot to prove. He is a 7-time champion and has never really gotten maybe a lot of the respect that he feels like he deserves, and quite possibly does as a 7-time champion. Never been put on quite that same pedestal that Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt Sr. were put on. So, with a couple laps left to go, Jimmie Johnson made a move to the inside of Paul Menard that essentially wiped out the entire field. Jimmie Johnson cruises on, bad weather, so they call the race. Jimmie Johnson takes the win. We shared the video of that, of the post-race, where the pit reporters were talking to Johnson and Paul Menard. And Jimmie Johnson said, well, I think I went down inside and had the spot, and Paul Menard came down on me, and they showed the video, and Jimmy kind of said, I hate that all those cars got wrecked, and we're just glad we won. Pretty quickly, I think he may have even saw it a little different from outside than he did inside the car. Paul Menard was very unhappy and said, well, that's just what Jimmie Johnson does. So Jimmie Johnson takes the win there, followed by Kurt Busch and Joey Logano. Thursday, you have the Duels. So you have another pre-race. Now, that clash had nothing to do with anything on the Daytona 500. That didn't have any bearing on the racing other than to maybe fuel some fires for this coming up days. Thursday, duel number 1, Kevin Harvick in his new black car. Picked up just about where he did last year. Was very fast. Kevin Harvick with a win, Ricky Stenhouse second, Paul Menard third. Interesting enough here, Kyle Busch, who was in this race, Jimmie Johnson got into the back of him during this race. Now, in addition to Paul Menard being upset with Jimmie Johnson's aggressive driving, Kyle Busch is upset with him because he ran into the back of him, he felt like. So, Jimmie Johnson may have a big old... It's a good thing he isn't driving for Target, because I think that would have been too ironic. He is going to have a big target on him today, quite possibly, with some of the drivers. The second duel was very, very exciting. Joey Logano passes Clint Bowyer with just maybe a quarter lap to go, a late race pass. I'll try to get that out again. A late race pass for Joey Logano over Clint Bowyer for the win. Very close one. Clint Bowyer, driver that's kind of almost part-time at this point, from, I believe, Pittsburgh, Kansas, not too far away. A good performance by him, and Eric Amarola, third place. So those races, that Daytona 500, by the time you're watching this, when we go to air, will have already been run, and hopefully it's as exciting as the racing has been so far. Friday, the Gander Outdoor Series, the Truck Series. This race had 3 females in it, so I don't know if that's the most that they've had, but it was an exciting race. You had the debut of Natalie Decker in the number 54 Toyota Tundra, much heralded racer. Really looking forward to watching her. Just a really unfortunate 2 laps in, I believe it was, they had their first caution. You had a couple drivers get together and some debris on the track. That debris got caught up in Natalie Decker's front left tire. She's coming into the pits to get it repaired. Something got caught up. Truck catches on fire, so she had to stop pretty quickly, and they extracted her out of that truck and put the fire out. That was her day. It showed her crew chief kind of even teasing her. It looked like at one point that she didn't even get her suit dirty, that she was out there such a short amount of time. As drivers are coming down the pit lane, one driver doesn't have brakes. The jackman is running out to around the front of the car, and no brakes. He gets hit by the truck. They end up taking him to the hospital. He's going to be okay. So you had a second lap wreck. You had a truck on fire. You had a pit man hit. This was like in the first 5 laps. It looked like, are they even going to be able to finish this thing? It was so crazy. But in the end, the racing was really exciting. It was a great race. Austin Hill with the win, followed by Grant Enfinger and Ross Chastain. Spencer Boyd, 4th place. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Spencer Boyd does this year. He is a up-and-coming driver. I think he's going to be really, really good, and I think he's going to be extremely popular because he's a handsome fella. I think the girls are definitely going to be a fan of him, no matter how he does, based on his looks. And he's sponsored by Grunt Style. He's got a military sponsor on his truck. He's a heck of a racer and seems to be a really nice guy. So keep an eye on Spencer Boyd in 2019. That matter of fact, that race even went into 2 overtimes where they do the green-white checkered. So they got their money's worth, the fans who were there for the Gander Outdoor Truck Series Friday night. Yesterday, the Xfinity race, the best I could make of it, kind of missed out on it a little bit because we were watching the Supercross. Saw one of our fans posted on the results, boring. So Xfinity racing has not always been the most exciting here over the last few years. Michael Annett with a win, followed by Justin Allgaier and Brandon Jones rounds out your top three. That is NASCAR for this Sunday. Lights Out number 10 in Valdosta, Georgia is going on. It started up this late in the week. Thursday on Valentine's Day, Tim Slavens with Team Tito and Team Zimmerman simply set a new world record. Just to the short of it, they ran what would be an unbelievable pass Thursday night. The 8th mile, 3.621 seconds at 217.74 miles per hour. That was a new world record. Congratulations to Tim Slavens, Team Tito, and Team Zimmerman with the new Neil Chance Racing converter on board on that car. A amazing performance. New world record late Thursday night. Unfortunately, Tim didn't get to hold that very long, as the very next night, Kevin Rivenbark comes back with a very different looking car. They're in the same class, but as all the Ozark Raceway Park people that are fans, and even though, it's like anything, you get there's the rivalries and this and that when you're at your track, but then when you go outside of it, that's still our drivers. So drivers maybe even that are competitors with Tim Slavens and Tito and Zimmerman are very supportive. They're like, hey, that's our guy. That's a steel-bodied 69 Camaro, the Wolverine, maroon and gray. It's one of the best-looking cars you'll ever see. It's a gorgeous car. Kevin Rivenbach comes back with essentially a Pro Mod car, very different-looking car, but either way, runs a 3.613. So the 3.621 gets bested by a 3.613. So 0.07 of a second. He's now the world record holder. You would think, well, that was Slavin's moment of glory there. No. Last night, he, in the, I believe it was round 2 of eliminations, goes up against Stevie Fast Jackson, one of the most charismatic racers you will ever see. He is I kind of called him the Ric Flair of drag racing right now. If you have any doubt about how fast Stevie Fast Jackson is, it's in his name, and just ask him, he'll tell you. But he's an extremely likable guy. He does it with a kind of a wink and a nod, but he almost always backs up what he says. Well, Tim Slavens last night showed that why Ric Flair, he won a lot of titles, championships Ric Flair did, but he had to lose a lot to win a lot. And Tim Slavens was a spoiler last night. Tim Slavens sends Stevie Fast Jackson packed up, sends him home, goodbye. Congratulations to Tim Slavens moving on. I believe they're going to finish that up today because that was pretty late last night. I don't think that they continued on after midnight. I imagine they're coming back today, but we'll let you know, of course, as soon as we can. Tim Slavens, Team Tito, and Team Zimmerman with Neil Chance Racing converters really making a name for themselves at Lights Out 10 in Valdosta, Georgia this weekend. NHRA has the week off. Last weekend, they had their season opener in Pomona, California. That race rained, so they had to move it to Monday. As you know, we had the results posted. It's a little late now, but if you didn't catch that, Doug Coletta with the win in Top Fuel over Steve Torrance. Funny car, Robert Hyde over Fast Jack Beckman. Pro Stock, Bo Butner over Jason Line. And Motorcycle, Doug Vinsel over Ty Tharp. They will be back this coming next weekend, February 22nd through the 24th in Phoenix, Arizona. Nitro Arena Cross had the weekend off as they're getting ready in Tunica, Mississippi for the World Championships of Arena Cross. That is coming up February 22nd and 23rd. That is this coming Friday, Saturday. Nitro Arena Cross in Tunica. The hotel accommodations are at the casino close by. You can find that information on the Nitro Arena Cross page. If you're in that area, I highly recommend it. This is some of the best in the Nitro Arena Cross world. And you're going to see riders like Dustin Winter and Blake Wharton who are going to go on to be AMA, Monster Energy, Supercross pro riders. So these are some of the up and comings. This is some of the best indoor arena cross racing in the country going on this coming weekend with Jay Reynolds Motorhead Events and Nitro Arena Cross in Tunica, Mississippi. Team ORPtv girl this weekend, we had our MMA fighter, our friend Miranda Maverick, involved in the flyweight championship tournament going on in Kansas City, Kansas for the Invicta FC fighting. We sponsor Miranda. She's a local girl. We have real love for MMA and the UFC. So if you're wondering why we involve with MMA, that's why, because we like it. And Miranda Maverick is the epitome of strong women, powerful women, and everything that embodies what you want in your daughter. She's a great student, an amazingly loving daughter to her parents, to her siblings, to her friends. We just can't say enough great things about Miranda Maverick, and that's why we sponsor her, and we are so happy to be connected to her. Just absolutely, no one who knows Miranda doesn't love her. She's a fantastic person. Well, she fought this weekend against Deanna Bennett, who is a former UFC Ultimate Fighter competitor. So she was in the Ultimate Fighter competition, the house, which means she has been up into the major leagues, essentially, of women's MMA, and she has fought for a title in Invicta. So this is a veteran fighter, 34 years of age, had 14 career fights coming into this, professional fights. Miranda had 5 coming into this, and it was a big difference. Well, Miranda fought very, very well. It was a close fight, but ultimately the decision went to Bennett. So Miranda Maverick will go back to. I tell you what, I heard somebody say later on in the fights that night that you either win or learn, not win or lose. And I guarantee you that Miranda Maverick learned some new things there from this veteran fighter that she will apply later on and will come back even better and stronger. So congratulations. We're still incredibly proud of her and couldn't be more excited to be connected with Miranda Maverick. Here's a look at what's coming up around the Ozarks and on the pro scene. The All Parts Auto Salvage race week ahead. Finally today I want to talk about, this is again one of those times where there's just not an easy way to get into this subject, so we'll just jump right in. ORPtv, drag racing, motorsports, and many, many people lost a friend this week. It was absolutely one of those people where we didn't know Jimmie Grimm in person, never actually met Jimmie in person that I recall that he said, where he would said, "Hey, I'm Jimmie," but it felt like we knew Jimmie, because if you're friends with Jimmie Grimm, you no doubt saw a lot of great photos of his dog Blower, the dachshund, and all kinds of, he just was a constant supply of amazing photos, adorable photos of some of the dogs that he had. Here's another one of Blower. Just Jimmie Grimm was a fantastic person. We thought the world of him in what we knew of Jimmie, just interacting with him. Thursday night in Sapulpa, or Wednesday night into Thursday, fire crew went to a house on fire, and unfortunately, in the upstairs bedroom was Mr. Grimm. Everyone else made it out of the house okay, including Blower. Several people asked about that, but Jimmie did not. Jimmie will be sorely missed by his teammates. That he was pretty connected with John Stouffer and Stouffer Racing. They're the world's fastest Barracuda. You've seen that car, no doubt, at Ozark Raceway Park and around the area. He'll be sorely missed by his teammates, a number of friends, and what probably was thousands of Facebook friends who will miss his awe-inspiring posts of Blower and different dachshunds. We really, the only thing I can hope is that from up above, Jimmie will get to watch all the racing. Jimmie Grimm, you'll be missed. Jimmie was 63 years old. For ORPtv, I'm Craig Stagner. Hug your loved ones. Tell them that you love them. Let them know. We'll see you back here next week.